Hi, and welcome to another Photoshop tutorial. Today we're going to be looking at how I do kind of a quick and dirty edit of a close-up portrait in Photoshop. So today we're going to be looking at how I do retouching, curved layers, what I do to the eyes, basically kind of an overall how I edit a portrait in Photoshop. So let's go ahead and first jump into Lightroom. Okay, so here we are in Lightroom, and this is the portrait that we're going to be retouching, and I'm just going to do a quick, basically camera raw edit to bring out the details so that we can access them to their fullest extent in Photoshop. So I'm going to bring up the exposure just a little bit and bring down the highlights. I'm going to click the option button and I'm going to find a black point on the photo. There, that's good. Bring up the whites a little bit. Bring up the shadows quite a bit because that brings out a lot of the details in the darker area. Clarity just a touch, +4, and contrast just a touch. So there's our before and after. As you can see, we're already bringing out more details. So let's open this up in Photoshop. Okay, so here we are in Photoshop, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run my frequency separation action. I will put that in the description of the video so you can download that if you want it. I'm going to bring the radius just enough so that it starts to blur the textures of her skin. So 8.7 looks like it'll do the job. I'm going to click OK, and there we go. So we got our frequency separation. Now what I'm going to do is by clicking Command J, I'm going to copy the low frequency. Then I'm going to apply my Gaussian blur, which is Blur Gallery Gaussian blur. And I'm going to bring this up quite a bit actually until we start to see some real softening, I guess, effects on the coloring of her skin. Because we kind of want it all to kind of blend together. And this is how you kind of get that real airbrushed effect, but we're doing so with the high frequency so that the textures don't get lost in it. So there we go, that looks super awful. I'm going to hold down the option key, click the mask button, and that's going to put a black mask on it. And then I'm going to click B for brush. I'm going to keep my flow at 3. And then I'm just going to paint over white. So I'm going to click D to get my default. Now I got white, and I'm painting over this black mask. And I'm just going to paint over the pretty much all of her skin. I'm going to avoid the eyes, but I'm just kind of painting over where I think some blending, or the photo could benefit from some blending of the skin tones. So I'm just going to paint over here. That looks good. Sometimes you want to really kind of get under the bags of her eyes so that those kind of blend in with the skin tones around her, or him, or whatever your subject might be. There we go. So if you can see the before and the after of that, not a huge difference, but it's already looking a lot better. Now, if you want to increase the effects of this, you can always copy that by clicking Command J, and then do the Gaussian blur again, and you can just you can go crazy. And some people really like this look. I don't. I think it just kind of looks fake. But you can always do that if you want to have these really kind of clean magazine-looking shots. But I'm not going to do that today. I might bring it up, a little bit more, and we'll see what that looks like before and after. Okay, that's fine. I think it's a little bit too much. I'm just going to bring down the opacity of that. Great. Now we're going to go to my high frequency. I'm going to click S for my stamp tool. I have this set for something else. So I'm going to turn these to 100, this to normal, and then I'm just going to zoom in, and I'm going to start just getting rid of any of the little imperfections, little blemishes that I see. And since we're kind of doing a quick and dirty, I'm not going to speed this up or anything. I'm just gonna do a pretty basic, just the real standout parts of the image. So we're doing that. Okay, so we'll get right here. And these are a few different techniques. Some are mine, some are ones that I've learned from other photographers, so I can't claim ownership of all of them, but there you go. Okay, great. And I'm just going to blend this one in. Fantastic. Okay, so there's our edited photo. You can see the before and the after on that. So it's already looking much better. I'm going to close this, and I'm going to open up a curves layer and just kind of give it a little, just an S-curve to kind of bring out the highlights and the shadows on her face. It's a little bit too much of the shadows. There you go. You can see the before and after right there. That's looking good. All right, now we're going to go and do her eyes, which is my favorite part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Shift-Command-N, create a new layer. I'm going to go to my brush tool. I'm going to click Control and Option, and then I'm going to pull all the way down and bring it to about 90, and all the way to the left, and make a really small brush. Now we're going to get up close with her eye. I'm going to bring everything up to 100. And I can kind of see it's like, when you zoom out, you're almost kind of seeing like a little bit of orange in there in her blue eye. And I'm just going to kind of bring out that color a little bit more. So I'm going to actually go to my orange. I'm going to make that nice and saturated and bright. And then I'm just going to start drawing some random little details right here. There we go. And we're going to move over here, do the same thing. Okay, sweet. Great. Now I am going to sample this color, and I'm just going to bring out a nice bright blue. And I'm going to create another layer and start doing the same thing kind of on the outer edge. Cool. And why not? I'm gonna add some purple in here because it kind of makes it a little bit more interesting. So I'm gonna create a new layer. Go to my color. Go to purple. Nice bright purple. And do the same thing right here. Okay, so, and there is like a little bit of purple in there, so this is not going to look too crazy. So then there you go, those are our eyes. They look wonderful right now. I'm going to select all of these layers, and I'm going to turn that into, or blend it into soft light. And now here's where it really starts to come together. I'm going to go to layer 1, which was my orange layer, and I'm going to blur it. I'm going to blur it enough so that, yeah, that sounds good. So about 3.6 kind of blurs it into her eye so it looks natural. And with each blur, I'm going to blur just a little bit more than the previous one. So this one, I'm going to do 4.8, And then this one, which is kind of the most unnatural color, 9.1. There you go. So now you can see kind of her eyes are this very interesting kind of hazel color now. I'm going to add a curves layer, bring it up brighter, attack the whites a little bit. Command I is going to invert that layer. I'm going to click B, bring that to my brush tool. I'm going to bring the opacity to 20%, and that way when I draw over it multiple times, it only affects what I've drawn already. So I'm going to take the hardness back to 0, and I'm going to do 1, maybe 2 strokes on that, and then I'm just going to copy it. I want my eyes to match. But you're kind of finding the light source, which is coming from right here, and you're kind of lighting that area primarily to make her eyes really pop. And then the last thing I'm going to do with the eyes is I'm going to make a curves layer, make it just a little bit darker, invert it, and then I'm going to draw it around the edge of the eye. 1, 2, 3 passes. 1, 2, 3 passes. And now there we go. We got these really beautiful popping eyes. I'm actually going to maybe blur the orange a little bit more, and maybe even the purple a little bit more. There we go. Great. Now we got these really interesting looking eyes. I'm going to select all of these, group them together, call that one eyes. And now you got the before and the after of the eyes. And if you don't like it so much, you can just pull down the opacity, make it look a little bit more natural. Just bring it all the way up, because why not? Great. And now I'm going to run my dodge and burn action. I'll put that in the description as well. And we're going to start by dodging, and I'm just going to draw over, I'm going to paint over the lighter areas of her skin to just kind of make those pop. I've got my exposure set at about 15. I don't want to overdo it. And if I overdo it, I got a way to fix that as well, which I'll show you. I like this part of her lip. I want to make that kind of shiny. Right there. Great. Now we got this, she's got this great kind of cheek jawline. So I'm going to kind of enunciate that with the burn tool. I'm just going to draw right there over the darker areas of her skin. And right there. And maybe give her kind of a shadow rim. So there you go. You got the before and the after on the dodge and burn. It really just kind of brings out the contours of her skin. Okay. Great, and then with the, I'm actually going to do one more thing to the eyes before we're done with this. I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to go over to my sharpening tool, and I'm just going to draw around the eyes and around her eyelids and her lips just a little bit. All right, so with the sharpening, it looks like that. Great, and there you go. That's a kind of a quick and dirty. There's still a lot more about this photo that I'll probably want to change, but just in terms of preliminary exercises of editing a photo, this is what I typically do. So let's go ahead and show you the before and after. Got the before, the after, before, after. Pretty happy with that. Probably gonna do a little bit more, but you kind of get the gist of it. All right, there you go. That took a little bit longer than I was thinking just because I was stopping to explain certain things that I was doing. But that's typically how I do a portrait edit. Make sure you hit the like button if you like this video, hit the subscribe if you want to see more, and we will see you next time.